welcome. Today we are going to learn how to take our lid from Fusion 360 and we're going to just decorate it, which is basically the same as doing the box, but we're going to actually learn some new techniques today. Basically we're going to be able to put any photo we want on the box as well. So let's get started. First thing we're going to do is we're going to actually combine the cut lines for the box and the lid together so we don't waste a lot of plywood. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open up my box one. So I'm going to do File, Open, and I'm going to find the one that I'm going to use, which is this one. I can see a little preview there. I'm going to click Open, and you can see how much extra space I have, like all this space here. Anything we can fit in here, we can use as cut lines. And then anything that's more, like doesn't fit into this space, we'll have to open up a new file and put it in that file instead. So we'll just keep track of what we have and haven't used and kind of go from there. All right, so I'm going to do File. Let's see, what am I trying to insert? Oh, I'm going to do a File, Insert, or Import, I should say. I'm going to import my Dxf file. So I'm going to first find out where it is. And it's a little bit of a nuisance. My advice to you when you save your Dxf files to do them onto your desktop. It'll make it easier to find them. Let me go through the final few steps of here to find it. Almost there. Scalable box. And then we're looking for the Dxf file, which is this one. Josh Waza lid. I put my dimensions on here, and it's actually this one. Box lid. This is the one I'm going to use today. I actually put in this measurement from Fusion 360, which is the total height of 31.225, so that I would have it when I go to open it. I wouldn't lose my little post-it note. So I'm going to make sure it says read from file, manual scale vector, all of that stays okay, and then just click OK. Now it's going to bring it in, and it brings it in way too big. Like it shouldn't do this, but it does, so we have to live with it. I'm going to change this from millimeters to centimeters, and I'm going to put in that, I'm going to lock the two dimensions so they shrink together. And I'm going to put in the 31.225 dimension right there. And I'm going to click Enter. And now I'm going to right away, I'm going to turn all this red, all these cut lines red. So if I zoom in, you can see that they're still there. I'm going to turn them all red. So to do that, I'm going to go to Object, Fill and Stroke. Remember, fill is the color on the inside, stroke is the line on the outside. I'm going to turn off the fill. I'm going to go to the stroke paint, click here, and turn it all the way up to 255. Remember, 254 doesn't work. It's the wrong color. So 255, 00, 100. And I can turn all these guys. One else thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make this width a little wider, like a 0.4. See what that looks like. Yeah, so now we've got really dark looking nice lines that I can work with. Don't worry about how thick the line is. The laser cuts down the middle of the line. Even if it's super thick, it still just cuts one line, one cut down the line for red lines. It knows to do that. All right, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to break these up into different pieces and see if I can't squeeze them on here. So I'm going to go Control-Shift-G to ungroup, and down here it says 9 objects selected. I'm going to ungroup them again. I'm going to try and get to where it says no groups. And right now it says no groups to ungroup. So I've fully ungrouped everything. And this time, because there's no holes, I have no interior rectangles, so they're all just separate pieces now. So now I can just start trying to fit them on here. So I'm going to try and fit this one. Oh, okay. So I know right now I'm going to need another file to fit this onto, because it's not going to fit, and this one won't fit down there. So that's fine, but I can still get all these on there. So I'm going to rotate this around, and I'm just going to play around until I get everything kind of on there. And this one I'm going to rotate around twice, because I do want to keep the tabs pointing down, because that's going to tell me which side everything goes on. Or it's going to keep my picture straight up and down. Right? If I have the tabs going up in some and down the other, I have to remember constantly to flip the image over so that I can see it correctly. And then actually these 4 will fit here too. Just 1, I'm going to rotate that one over. I'm going to rotate that one over. And I'm going to find a way to squeeze those on. And I'll do that in just a second. I think I'll have plenty of space for it. So I will need to have a second file to put this one on. You might be able to fit them all onto one sheet of plywood. If you can, do that. All right, so now I'm going to start decorating them. And I need to remember that like these two, whoops, those two go side to side. So I'm actually going to line them up close to each other. And these two are going to go side to side. You can see how they fit into each other. And then this one continues on to this one. So it goes boop, boop, and then that one's on the back, and then this one on the side. However, just get a feel for how they might connect. The nice thing about these joints is because there's always that black little tab showing. They don't actually touch on the outside corner, so if they don't quite come together perfectly, it's still going to look terrific. All right, now to go find the stuff we're going to put on the box. I'm going to click here to this. I did a search because I want that wrapped border again around the whole lid. I did a search for the seamless border drawings. And you could add more detail here. I mean, you could do here, I don't know, like if you were really into, I don't know, what are you into? Like whatever you're into, like cars. I don't know, cars. If you type in cars there, you're going to end up getting a bunch of things or some things with cars that are reproducible across. It's kind of cool looking, actually. If you do it for, I mean, whatever you want to do it for, I don't know. I just did drawings, and then I actually found one I really liked right up at the beginning here. And if you find something you really like, look down a little farther. There might be an even better one down here, because I really dig the bees and butterflies. So I'm going to use this one. So I'm going to copy this, copy image, and I'm going to go back over to Inkscape, and I'm going to just paste the image somewhere. Oh, wow, that's huge. Okay, so for this technique, I want to just have the details I want be black or white. So I'm going to do a bitmap trace. And one of the reasons I'm going to do that is notice in the background, it has all this like stuff on it. These ink stamps, or what they're called, watermarks on them. And if I just print it through like this with the laser printer is going to give a little bit of power and actually engrave this little watermark. We don't want that. So to get rid of those, we're going to actually do a bitmap trace. We'll adjust the bitmap trace so that it doesn't trace that super light gray in the background and only the darker grays in front. So we'll go to Object. Oops, no, Path. Sorry, Path, and then Trace Bitmap. And then we're going to update this, and we're going to actually increase to about 0.55 and try that. Okay, that looks pretty decent. Let's try that for real. Remember, this isn't going to give you what it looks like for real. It's going to give you some estimation, a quick estimation of it. Okay, that's the actual picture. Let's see if we can't grab. Nope. Control Z, undo that. I'm trying to just grab this back. There it is. Grab that back one. Now I'm going to zoom in and take a look at it. I'm getting pretty good detail. I'm pretty happy with that. Like I'm missing some of the shading, but it looks pretty cool. So I'm going to up it a little bit and try it again. And this is just, remember, trial and error process. Click back on my photo, and then I'm going to click OK. And it's going to run it again. It'll just take a second to create it. There it is. And yep, that was it. And now I'm going to zoom out. I'm just going to look at these. Whoa. I'm going to look at these kind of side by side-ish. I'm going to move this out of the way as well. Zoom out real quick. Zoom in. It's kind of a nuisance doing it, but you'll get there. So this is where things start getting a little tricky. Like I like the look of this one better, but I think it's going to be worse when it's engraved because it's darker. Oh, I don't know. I think I might go with this one. I'm going to try one more increase and see what it looks like. What I don't want to do is get so dark that there's not enough white in there to leave behind some wood. I want good wood left behind, not tiny pieces of wood. So I'm going to just click an OK real quick. And that should have given, oh, nope, it's on the, sorry, it's on the third one right there. And then click on it, and then I'm going to click OK afterwards. Click OK. It'll take a second to create it. And there it is. Yep. Now you can see how this has gotten too dark. Like, I really like the way that looks, but it's just too dark. I can't use it. Not enough white in there. Excuse me. All right, now back to these two. I think I'm going to go with the lighter of the two. I think it's going to give me a better burn. It gets a little too dark over in here on this one, so I'm just going to get rid of that one. And now the nice thing about this is it should be set up so that it repeats well, although I don't think it really goes to the edge ever, so maybe it won't matter. And I'm going to come down here. I'm going to use this, but I need to shrink it a lot. So I'm going to pull this down to shrink it. Whoop. And I'm just going to put it on there. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to shrink it a little bit more. Yeah, like there-ish. Oh, you know, I just realized I screwed up. Like, the tabs go up on this. This is upside down. So these are all upside down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly just highlight. I'm going to hold down the shift button. Whoops. While I click on all these different pieces, all four pieces, and I'm going to flip them all over twice. Now that's the right way. So the tabs actually go up on this, on the lid. I totally forgot about that. So I'm going to need to burn this. Probably going to go a little bit smaller on this because I want the butterflies to show up. And then just got to position it with the arrow key. Yeah. So I'm going to bring it in a little bit more. About like that. Arrow up. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. So I want it to be part of this, so I'm going to go all the way over to the tab like that. I'm going to go Control C, Control V. And I'm just going to put it, you know, roughly next to it. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to do it again. And I'm going to drag this one over and put it roughly. I'll align all these in a second with each other. And then again, I'm going to come up just short of a full one. So I'm going to go again. And right there. Now, to get them all lined up properly, I'm going to use the tools in Inkscape to do that. So I'm going to hold down Shift, and I'm going to click on all 5 of them. Then I'm going to go up here to Object, and then go to the Align and Distribute tool. Click on it. I'm going to line up the tops, which is this, Align Top Edges. So boom. That brings them all to the same level. And then this next one is really awesome. Remove overlaps. So I've got the height and the vertical overlaps to 0. So that means there'll be no overlap at all. So I'm going to click here to make that happen. Give it a second, and now it's spread them all out so that there's no overlap at all. And you know what? I don't know if I really dig that. I think we can have some overlap here. So I'm going to actually increase the vertical overlap to 1 and see what that does. So I'm going to hit this button again. Oh wait, that was a vertical overlap. I didn't want that. Sorry. Delete 0. I wanted a horizontal overlap, left-right overlap of 1. And let's try it again. There. So you can see now they're overlapping a little bit. I can do a little bit more than that. Actually, I'm going to go up another one. I'm just going to keep trying until I get them overlapped. Oh, wait. Nope. That's going in the wrong direction. I want a -1. Let me try a -2 overlap. Oh wait, that's not happening like I thought it would. Click that. I was hoping the overlap with negative would make them like walk on top of each other, but it doesn't seem to be working right now. So I'm going to put it back to 0, click, and at least that'll line them up perfectly. Or maybe I broke something. All right, let's try this one more time. So I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to highlight all of them. Zoom out a little bit. There's the last one. And then I'm going to just do the none. See if it fixes it. I've screwed it up. All right, so when these go wrong, Control Z to their right again. That looks pretty good. Yep, that looks pretty good. All right. So that's what I'm going with. That's my thing. So right there, so now I'm going to group these together. So I'm going to right click and go to group, or I'm going to simply have them when they're all selected, do Control G, and that will group them together. Now I'm going to send this to the, I'm going to center it on this piece. So I'm going to click it, and I'm going to hold down Shift and click the piece. On the Align tab, I'm going to do Align Bottoms. That puts it right there on the bottom. And then I'm going to do a Align Middles. That'll center them up. And once that's done, I'm all ready. And I'm going to just click on this one and go Control C, Control V. And I'm going to copy and paste that to the one next to it. There it is. There's the paste. It just takes a second to show up. My computer's running a little slow right now. And I'm going to do the same thing for this one. So I'm going to highlight the picture I want, the back I want, and I'm going to do a center and align bottom. So now those two are together. And I'm going to go Control V again. Give it a second to show up. I'm going to drag this one down to here, and I'm going to Shift and click on the back, the red cut lines. I'm going to line up their middles, and I'm going to line up the bottoms. And then Control V for my last one. Now you can do it this way, you can do it any way you want. I'm just showing you this technique. I'm going to line up the bottoms, I'm going to line up the middles. Those are all good. And now what I want to do is I want to drop all of the red things, I want to bring them to the top. Because right now if you look at them, the black is on top of the red. And I like to have the red on top of the black so the cut lines can be seen easier. I'm not sure if it actually matters, honestly, but I always do this. So I'm going to highlight here. I'm going to highlight all 4 of the red ones. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say, bring to the top right here. Raise selection to the top. Or you could highlight all the black pictures and put them to the bottom using the bottom tool. Either way works the same. And I'm going to look down here real quick and I'm going to zoom in. And now you can see how the red goes over the black. So I'm all happy with that. Last thing I'm going to do is I need to move these around. So I'm going to group the picture with the red thing for all of them. So I'm going to click off somewhere so I have nothing selected. I'm going to click this picture and the back picture and I'm going to group those. Control G. I'm going to grab this picture, Shift, cut lines, Control G, picture, Shift, background, Control G, picture, cut lines, Control G. Now notice I have this extra overlap of picture. This doesn't matter. The laser's going to cut it, but then it's going to cut around and get rid of it kind of. So I don't need to worry about if it's overlapping here or not. That's not going to be a problem. So I'm going to line this one up as carefully as I can. Give it a little bit of space between the other ones. And this one, again, I can overlap those extra little pictures. And right about there is good. I'm going to do the same thing for this one. Get it roughly close. And this one roughly close. I'm pretty happy with that. If I need to, I can use the arrow keys just for some fine movements at the end. And now I'm going to start placing these. Now these are the inside tabs that hold the box lid and on top. So I don't really care. There's not going to be any decoration on them. I just need them on the piece of wood somewhere. And here. And in fact, I could have even... I may be able to get them both on there. Yeah, that's fine. That's a good distance. I'm going to keep them pretty close together. Now I can't use this whole thing up. I'm going to move this one up a little bit. I can't go right down to this black thing because my piece of plywood is never exactly the right dimension, so I want to keep some space. Notice up here, what really matters is this red line, and it's a little bit away from the edge. So we want to try and keep it as little bit away as we can from the edge. So right there, that's about as close as I'd want to get. In fact, I'm going to move this one up a few more. That's about as close as I'd want to get on the edges, just because I want to be able to save some... I don't want to accidentally go over the edge of the actual plywood. All right, so that's all of that. Now I still need to make... Uh-oh, where'd it go? I've got the other red piece. There it is. Well, I moved it really far all the way. I still need to create one for this. So what I'm going to do is hit delete, and I'm going to say File, Save As, and now I'm going to call this my first name, last name, and box and lid. And then I'm going to do this, 1 of 2. Because when you send this to me, I need to know if there's more than one file with it, and then I need to know how many. So if you actually had to make 3 of them, you would do 1 of 3 here. And so hopefully you won't go over 2, and most of you probably won't even need to, depending on how big you made your box, obviously. And then click Save. Then the easiest thing to do, once oops, let me close that. I've saved it. I'm going to do File and Save As right away. And this is where you got to start keeping track of stuff. So this is going to be 2 of 2. And I'm going to hit Save. Now I already have all of this on 1 of 2. So I'm going to delete all of that and just pull my lid on. And now this is where I can start doing my own photo stuff. So I'm just going to do a quick here, and I'm going to insert. Again, if you had room, you could do all of this work in the first file. You don't have to make another file. But I'm going to actually go back to Inkscape. I'm going to insert a real picture. Import, because I want to personalize this lid and make it mean something to me. I'm going to go to my pictures. There we are. And I'm going to use this picture. Now this is huge, so let me actually bring this down some. Now, if you wanted to crop or do anything like that, what I found is if I do that in Inkscape, it does not export very well. What I want to do is go on my phone and do all the editing I want to do to my photo. So I would crop it size down, might change it to black and white, you might mess up, whatever you want to do with it, add whatever filters you want, and then import that file or save that on your phone, and then get it onto the Inkscape from that file. So do your editing in another app, not Inkscape, otherwise it won't work well. I'm going to keep shrinking it down. I'm going to zoom in here. In fact, right away I'm going to take this picture and put it to the bottom so I can see my top. Now I see what I'm shooting for at least. So I'm going to click and shrink. I want it to be just a tiny bit bigger. Yeah, right about there. And then I'm going to hold down, I'm going to grab the red. I'm just going to center the red on the photo where I want it. That looks about right. And then shift, and I'm going to group those. And I'm going to drag this onto the paper completely. And then I'm going to do File, Save. And I've already saved it as lid 2 of 2. So now I can submit those 2 files for cutting of my picture. What will happen is wherever the color is really light, the laser will automatically reduce down the power of the laser. So you can see here, like when we get into these, like deep into this darker color will get like 10% of the laser, and this white will get 0%. And then when it gets down to something like, let's say right here, see how there's a dark layer of things? Those will get like 60% laser, and this will get like 10% laser. And then this will get only 5% laser because it's lighter here. So wherever the pixels are light, it's going to get very little laser cut, and whenever the pixels are dark, it's going to get a much deeper burn and turn a darker color. So it should look pretty cool when it's done. All right, so the picture you want though, you want light backgrounds and dark foregrounds or people. You know, I just want this to be lighter than over here or darker or have some contrast. You can play around with contrast and all kinds of stuff on your phone with filters and kind of get something you think looks cool. But it won't have any problem handling color at this point. All right, that's it for our thing. Once you get your box and lids done, go ahead and submit them to me.